So, today our webinar is called the Multi-Strand Approach to Assessment. And we are going to talk about assessment with the primary students. As I have told you, I'm a representative of National Geographic Learning in Ukraine. And I would like to tell some words about this publishing house. So National Geographic Learning is a part of a big publishing house, Cengage Learning. Together with National Geographic Learning prepares the great books for all different students, for all age categories, not just to teach English, but also to help students know the world and become successful citizens of the 21st century. The main slogan of this publishing house is bringing the world to the classroom and the classroom to life. And every series is full of real people, real places that show that English, it's not just some subject, it's not just something that we can just study. It's something real. It's a tool that helps you to grow, that helps you to be more successful, that helps you to find new friends and new opportunities. The books are full of spectacular images that show real emotions and that make learning memorable. That is very important. So the lessons are not just kind of an educative lesson. They give us some emotions. We discuss, we compare, we share our own stories. And it really helps to build great connections and to help students to remember the material, remember the lessons. And today's webinar is based on the course book Look. Look is a series for young learners. It has 7 levels, starter level, and from 1 up to 6. It has a permission of Minister of Education of Ukraine to be used in the state schools, in the primary schools from the 1st to the 4th, and also the levels 5 and 6 are great for 5th and 6th grades. Before we continue, I would like to share feedback from the teacher who have been using this book for a year.
Дівчатка, привіт! Чи подобається вам книжка з англійської мови? Всім привіт, мене звати Інна Скрипник, я викладач англійської мови у приватній школі. Для своєї роботи я вибрала підручники від National Geographic Look. Чому саме ці підручники припали мені до душі? Дівчатка, чи подобається вам ваш підручник?
Так.
А чому подобається?
Тому що тут реальні картинки, якщо я тут буду картинку, вона реальна. Це National Geographic, ця книжка дуже навчальна. Так, тут пояснюються всі слова, все дуже гарно розписано, багато різних класних текстів і картинок. І пісень.
А чому?
Вона дуже цікава, багато картинок і є всякі прикольні штучки. Мені подобається, бо там такі завдання. Такі завдання і смішні. Багато картинок, смішні картинки, все гарно, все добре зрозуміло. Мені дуже цікаво читати, тому що там дуже цікаві історії та гарні малюнки.
Супер, класно. Так що підручник тобі дуже-дуже до вподоби, так? Супер, дякую. Так, подобаються вам пісеньки звідси?
Так, вони дуже веселі.
Перш за все, через своє наповнення. Адже теми є надзвичайно цікавими для дітей, і їм цікаво займатися по цих текстах і цих підручниках. Також граматика подана в контексті. Сухе виконання вправ, звичайно, від цього ми нікуди не відійдемо, і для практики є достатньо вправ у воркбуці. Але вся граматика подається в контексті. з тих цікавих текстів, які ми попередньо вже прочитали і ознайомилися з новим словниковим запасом. Словниковий запас будується таким чином, що ми накопичуємо, і таким чином до кінця юніта діти вже повністю можуть висловити свою думку, в залежності від їхнього рівня. Чи це одним словом, словосполученням чи реченням. Величезним плюсом у цих підручниках є секція фонів на будь-якому рівні. Також value lessons, коли ми говоримо про загальнолюдські цінності, такі як дружба, розуміння різниці в тому, що ми всі з різних країн різні, прийняття цієї різниці, вміння ділитися і так далі. І ще однією з переваг є відео в кінці кожного юніта. Що цікаво, що в цих відео ми зустрічаємо дітей, однолітків наших учнів, які проживають в різних країнах і для яких англійська мова не завжди є першою основною своєю мовою. Можливо, це другий, третій. Таким чином ми чуємо різні акценти, і вушко наших учнів звикає до того, що у світі не лише носії мови говорять англійською. І ми маємо розуміти і розрізняти різні акценти. А навчальне відео вам подобається з дітьми, коли ми дивимося з різних країн? Про діток? А дітки в нас з однієї країни чи з різних країн?
З різних.
І ми чуємо однакові акценти чи різні?
Різні.
І це круто?
Так.
Таким чином, підручник CLIL цілком задовільняє всі вимоги як української нової школи, так і мене як викладача. Адже працюючи 4 місяці, я бачу прогрес наших дітей, їхню зацікавленість і те, що вони біжать на уроки і на перервах навіть сидять і гортають підручники для того, щоб дізнатися, а що ж ми будемо вчити далі.
Our book is full.
Круто, дякую.
Our book is full.
Супер!
So that was real feedback from a real teacher who has been using Look for a year, and as you can see, lots of students are engaged with this book. They are really interested. Just see their eyes. And today I would like also to focus on one very important thing that is here in Look series, assessment. And the webinar is called a multi-strand approach to assessment. So it's not just how to prepare students for the tests or just giving them tests after each unit. This is a real assessment technique. But before we start, let's remember ourselves. So have a minute, think about yourself when you were at school. And read the questions that you can see now on the screen. And think of your answers. You can share your answers with me, or you can just think about them on your own. So the first question, how did you feel about those tests when you were at school? Do you think they provided a full picture of what you could do? Did they make you feel confident? Are there other ways except for tests we may use to assess young learners? Stressed, yeah, not the full picture, that's right. I can remember those days. I didn't want to go to school when I know that I've got, for example, a math test, or those dictations in English when I carved for words for the whole evening and then I still made some spelling mistakes. And it didn't make me feel the progress. So again and again, I had some mistakes. I didn't have any other opportunity to show that maybe I'm interested in this language, or I want to know more, or maybe I'm not very good at remember how to write words, but I'm good at making stories, why not? Self-assessment. Oh, yes, you're right, thank you. I felt nervous, stressed, even if I was sure, yes, that is always kind of a stress. Sometimes, so people say that stress it can be useful, but if we recall ourselves at the age of 10, 11, even 13 years old, we couldn't agree with that, right? So I wish I could have some more confidence Yeah, to understand that maybe tests are not everything when I was at that age. I always felt stressed. I felt nervous. We had exams, not tests. Of course, it was a disaster. Listening was the most challenging, right? Yes. And the problem was, for example, listening tests in my school had very interesting problems that we had only tests in listening, but we hardly ever listened throughout the school year. That was a big problem. Peer assessment is good too. We may use project works for assessing. Right, you are right. By the way, last September, I had another webinar and we were talking about formative assessment, how to assess a project and something like that. I showed you the structure, so you can follow the YouTube, our YouTube channel and find the webinar. Also, I will attach this link to the email after the webinar. They say test doesn't show a real knowledge, they reveal your weak points. Right, you're right. Thank you very much. So I know now, I think now we are all on the same wavelengths. So we all agree that tests are stressed, and we all agree that test can't show the whole picture. We need some alternative ways, project, peer work, lots of different things. And I hope I will give you interesting ideas today. But before we continue, I found very interesting things about assessment. And when we say assessment, it doesn't mean only tests. Assessment is a full range of things like formative assessment, level tests, yes, pre-knowledge tests. And of course, I want you to be more active, so let's try to put the missing words into the gaps. Assessment is an which drives students' learning. What do you think the missing word is? Assessment is an, so it starts with well, instrument is an instrument which drives students. Yeah, kind of vehicle. Nice idea. You're on the right track. Yeah, instrument, engine, Dina. Great. Yes, and here the actual quotation is engine. Assessment is an engine which drives students' learning. Yeah. So we don't say only about tests, we say about the full range of assessment, that it is an inevitable part of the learning. We need to know where our students are. Today's assessment assessment is today's means of tomorrow's instruction. Yeah. Of modifying tomorrow's instruction. Yeah. Assessment is today's means of modifying tomorrow's instruction. That was I was talking about. When we know where our students are, how well they know the topic, we can then move on, or we can stay and focus on that part of the lesson of the language that they didn't understand. The aim of assessment should be to educate and students' performance, not merely to it. Any ideas what can be here in the gaps? Motivation. Yeah, motivation is also like engine, right, Victoria? But in more figurative language. The aim of assessment should be to educate and students' performance, not merely to it. What do you think can be? You cannot guess the right words, the direct word, but maybe the idea. Reveal. Motivate and motivate students' performance, not merely to inspire, to check it. To check. Yes, it's very close. Great. Yes. Develop students' performance. Okay, I'm going to share to improve, educate and improve students' performance, right? So it's not just for us to say that, oh, you need to know. We just need to, it can help, the right assessment can help students understand they need to be improved, not merely to audit it. And check was also the great answer. Very well. If a summative assessment can be described as a digital snapshot, formative assessment is like something else. Mandeville teaching student-centered mathematics. So I borrowed this quotation from our colleague who teaches mathematics, not English, but I think the idea is the same. To learn, to support, right? Great. Thank you very much for being active. If a summative assessment can be described as a digital snapshot, formative assessment is like I love those metaphors very much. So you can imagine I just took a picture and I see a person in one maybe second of his life. And it's something like summative assessment, like that final test or end of unit test. But if I'm talking about formative assessment, it's like, not like a photo. It's like, okay, let me see if anyone creating video. Yeah, Ludmila, right, you're right. It's like streaming video. So we can see what is happening right now, yeah, in the continuous process, not just in one point of time, but in the continuum. And it's very important for us. And if we share this understanding, our things, this with our students, they also be involved in the idea that they need to develop. Yeah, they are somewhere here and they need to grow. So, and our task as a teacher is to show them that first of all they are able to grow, and to give them ideas where they can grow. Like today, great, you studied 10 words. You even could write them, but let's try to make sentences with these words. Look, here is a text. This is how the writer did it. Let's study, and then you can do the same. So how assessment is presented in Look series and how it helps teachers not to look for lots of materials, but there are lots of things throughout the teacher's book that can help us. So first of all, it gives a great exam practice. Then I will stop on each throughout the webinar. Then it builds young learners' confidence. So it's not only just to check, to test them, to observe them. It's also to help students be more confident, to help students improve. It includes formative assessment and feedback, which is very important for young learners and just for all learners, and assessing productive skills. Sometimes assessing speaking and writing can be a challenge. Not everyone understands what exactly should be assessed. And the Look series gives us the whole picture, so it helps teachers to focus on the important things and to try to be as objective as it is possible. So first of all, exam practice. If you have already seen these books or maybe heard about them, you may know that one of their aim is to help students prepare for young learners examinations from Cambridge English qualifications. In total, just several words, Cambridge English qualifications is an international system of testing students' knowledge of language, not in terms in a communicative way. So it doesn't directly check their maybe grammar knowledge. It checks their skills. Reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And of course, knowing grammar and vocabulary is also incorporated in everyone. You can't do the task, speaking task or writing task if you don't know it. But it gives students the context. So they don't just put ticks. they have something nice, fun, interactive, motivating, and realistic situations, and they can see their progress. So these tests are a really great finding for students to motivate them and also to check their level of English. But even if you don't do these tests, your students are growing, and in the future they should face any test, maybe end of school test, entering test in university. And the book gives them the basic practice. So even if they don't do these young learners tests, they can still have some basic strategies and understanding. And for them, the exam task won't be so difficult in the future. So just to see how Look does it. So the first starter level, level 1 and level 2 prepares for pre-A1 starters. 3 and 4 for A1 movers, 5 and 6 for A2 flyers. And we will focus mostly on A2 level today, flyers 5th and 6th grades. I think that some of ideas, even if you don't have this book, if you teach with your other book, you can get some ideas on assessing. You can see that in the teacher's book, there is a clear understanding or explanations of different types of tasks. And you can see that teachers can read their explanation of this part. So what is the aim, what they want to check, how it is presented. Challenges, what students may find challenging, what troubles they usually have in general. And some performance descriptors. It's very important for us to understand what exact things would be checked. So the first thing is that they can understand simple written descriptions, and like in task 1, and can copy words and phrases. So we understand that they just should be attentive, yeah, and should read the explanations. And we can, and then there are ideas what to do with it, how to prepare students to it. Or, for example, the typical listening test, when we'll hear different descriptions of different people, and students need to match people and their names. Again, we have here explanation, challenges. The students will hurry. They won't listen carefully. They will hear just a name and then match it. Probably it's not the same name. So it gives us the picture what can be difficult. And then we prepare the tasks using this information. And again, performance descriptor can understand some simple spoken description of people and events. So for A2 level, for young learners, A2 level, it's more than enough to understand simple spoken descriptions of people and events. And we can practice it during the year, right? Assessment is today's means of modifying tomorrow's instruction, says Carol Ann Tomlinson. She's an educator, and her main topic is teaching in differentiating classrooms. So she has nice works. If you're interested, you can look for her name and for works on the internet. And it's not just, so exam practice. The second thing is building young learners' confidence. And this one I would like to focus a bit more. In order to help students to build confidence, Look series suggests us different strategies. Let's just have a quick look of all strategies that are presented in the book. The first one is personalize. Even if you have some test, like a task, it's a good idea for students maybe to compare sentences with their own experience, or maybe do the same, describe the picture, but about their friends. So when they personalize it, it's not as scary as it is. If it's a reading task, I can ask students to give their own opinion of the text, or maybe to show how much they like it from 1 to 5. You show me with your fingers how much you like this text, like 5, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, it's also so students will understand that it's not just some cold written words. This is something that I also can have my opinion about, and it really helps them to feel more confident. Collaborate. You were mentioning that, and I was mentioning that throughout lots of different webinars, that collaboration really helps students. They work together, they have different strengths and weaknesses, they can help each other. And actually it's easier when I can work with my friend, with a partner, I feel more confident. So it's not only me who can make the mistake, or maybe who cannot make the mistake, it's also my friend, and together it's not so scary, right? That is why the book provides lots of ideas how we can ask students to work together. The similar strategies help my friend. I will pause on it a bit later, so let's just remember this strategy. So it's personalize, collaborate, help my friend, reflect. Even if they are young learners, we can still teach them how to reflect on their works. We can ask them to find the evidence in the text, why they chose this, the definite things. They can do a grammar task, then they can come back to the grammar rule and compare it. And there could be different things. Second chance. Mostly second chance strategy is good for productive activities, for writing, for speaking. When students' performance was not strong enough, maybe it was some oral task to describe a picture, they maybe forget to change verbs in present continuous. They just use infinitives. Or they made very short description, like in this picture, the sea, some gray stones, it's evening, I like this picture. So we can give some feedback to students. We can share maybe example, a model answer. And after that, they can do it again, maybe with another picture. And the book again gives us lots of ideas how to do it interesting. Own it. I love this strategy very much. That was one of the strategies that my teacher used when I was studying English, and also I try to do it with my students. Own it means try to, if you write a test, maybe if you do some gap filling activity, try to create your own gap filling activity then, or maybe write your own grammar test, and or write some examples with the word, then cover the word and ask your students to ask other students to guess what word is in the gap. In any case, so it's like a deeper level of understanding the language when students cannot just do the simple test or some activity like multiple choice activity, for example, but they can also prepare their own. So they need to understand firstly what the correct answer is, and second, how to make these options, right? And step by step, we can teach our students to do like that. The simplest idea I have already shared. You give them the list of words. Students need to write sentences with the words, underline the words in the sentences. Then they read to their partner, but instead of underlined words, they can say a secret word, maybe banana or monkey, or just beep, right? And the second student should guess. The same can be with grammar. I remember sometimes I asked my students to make Kahoot tests. Before we played with the class, of course, I checked them, I give my feedback, students correct it, and then they were proud that all classmates can play Kahoot made by their own. It can be even like a project for different groups. So let's focus on some strategies. Help my friend. That's what students can think. I can do this task and I can help my friend to do this, right? If I can do it and then I can try to explain it to my friend, firstly, I will be busy with something, not just daydreaming, and also I can do something meaningful, help my friend. Why not? Why not sharing? I have checked with my friend and now I'm more confident. It's also important for weaker students, for shy students, that they have this possibility to check, to compare, to correct something. And then when they have to say it out loud in front of the class, they will be more confident. It's really very important. I felt it on my own skin when I was in the group of students and I had this, first I compared, I quickly corrected everything, like, oh yes, how could I forget? It's a stupid mistake. And then I read it aloud, and for me it was like, oh, now I can say the correct answer. For example, let's look at some examples. Students read the text. It's a story, it's extended reading, so it's like revision after some units. And I see the wise, it's about a spider, kind of an interesting story about a spider who wants to be wise. And here we have as exercise 3, that is complete this summary of the story. You can use 1, 2, 3, or 4 words in each gap. So students, firstly, of course, after they read the text, they need to do this activity on their own. Doing summaries is not an easy task. Sometimes even students, not of the 5th, but of the 11th grade can have problems with that. And here we should explain that, first of all, you need to use words from the text, but the sentence itself cannot be like literally from the text. And this is a spider wanted to have real something. So what real she wanted to have? Let's look at the text. Spider didn't think that. He was a clever, and he knew to have the real wisdom, he had to learn more. So real, and here we have another word, wisdom. So it's a bit rephrased sentence, but we understand that it's wisdom. So he took an empty gourd and went to ask others for their advice. He put each into the gourd. So where did he put it? I had an idea. If I get an advice from others and put it in this gourd, then I'll be wiser than everyone else in the world. So what he puts in the gourd? Advice. Yeah. Only one word. And here is important thing. We can add 1, 2, 3, or 4 words. In such types of tasks, students can miss some prepositions or maybe articles, or they can add extra words, just copy the part of the sentence. It shows that they don't have the real understanding, and we should come back and be more assertive, try to help them. So what the book suggests? The book says that after doing the task, put the students into pairs and tell them to check their answers and consider if they have all the words they need in each space, such as articles, prepositions, and pronouns, to ensure that the sentence is grammatically correct. So they will do it in pairs, and they can check each other. Not when I'm checking my work, I mean, if I'm a student, I'm 10 years old, and I have to check my work. I usually look at it and say, it's great, and hand out it to the teacher. But when I have to look at my work and at my partner's work, I will definitely look what's wrong with my partner's work, right? So it's kind of a trick. Students will be more attentive, and they will consult each other. So look, you have 5 words, but we need only 4 maximum. Let's read again. Let's find the extra word. We give such instructions. We can even write a checklist on the board, like check if you have articles, prepositions, pronouns, if you need them, if you have them. Another activity, for example, we study here first conditional sentence. So students have these rules, and rules are based on some examples. If you like animals, you will live Serengeti National Park. If we don't walk up the hill, we won't see the beautiful view. We'll go skiing tomorrow if it snows. I can ask students to work in pairs and to eliminate the student A, for example, you please focus on positive sentences. Find and tick positive sentences in this rule. Student B, find negative sentences. Remember the structure. So I ask students to focus on one small part of thing. And they do such a task. It's a typical grammar task. After we studied, we can practice. Now we need to put verbs in present in the first conditional. Sometimes students can forget about don't and will say use just not. They can put will, or they will forget about this will. Different mistakes can happen. And then we say that now students A, look at the sentences. Are they correct? Look at your sentences, the positive sentences. Student B, find negative sentences. We can even help say like student A, look at sentence 2, 5, 6. Student B, look at sentence 3, 4, partly. Yeah, and check. So they will be responsible for their part. And they will be more attentive. Again, if I can do it, I can help my partner, I will be then more confident. Why not doing that, right? So one more time, we are describing different strategies on how to make students feel more comfortable, more confident with doing exam-like or test tasks. When students have when we implement these strategies, students see that nothing is wrong when they make mistakes. It can help to reduce stress a bit. They collaborate, they work together, they are more focused, and when it comes to the test, they will have an experience of doing. So it's not just an activity that we do to practice, it's also the activity that we then come back and start to evaluate how well I did it, what I need to improve, how I helped my friend, and it really helps to boost confidence. Even if I had mistakes, it wasn't the teacher, it was my friend who helped me. Next time I won't do it, probably. The same thing is great with writing. When students read the text, wrote the text, it's a good idea to exchange works and read and give a feedback. But of course, not all students can understand how to do activities, how to give this feedback. They can say, I like this text, or your text is not interesting, mine is way more interesting. Yeah, something like that. They are kids, right? But when we give them some structure, some clear picture what we want them, you can have a nice and interesting things. For example, you can see that here books suggest students to write a report about a recent school trip or a place you have visited with their family. So they had distant preparation, sentences, some writing skill development, then they finally wrote their reports. They can hand out to the teacher, but also we can practice and we can help them to focus and to understand more about writing. So we ask students to read their texts to their partners, and the partners should complete these sentences. I heard, I noticed, I wondered. As you can see, writing skills there was to use substitutional words like if, them, this, that, instead of repetition. Yeah. South Island is in New Zealand. It is bigger than North Island. And the task, of course, will be to incorporate, to use it in their report. So we can give students, so the whole activity is called I heard, I noticed, I wondered, but of course it can be adapted according to the tasks that they had. I heard. It can be, I heard about a school trip to the Museum of Nature, or I heard how Ilya visited cinema with his family. So general understanding. Then they need to focus how many times they heard words it and there, for example. Of course, it's better to give such task when they write the task. So you need to use it and there when it is necessary. And I wondered, it's again to help students be better listeners. Good listeners can ask questions. They know what the person says and they can ask follow-up questions. So we start teaching them. So I wondered when the next trip to school, to museum will be. Why weren't you interested? And why were you interested? Where would you like to go next time? Any other questions? And it really helps students to understand, it will really help students to make a meaning. So it's not just I wrote a report because teacher asked me, but then I had a nice conversation and also a feedback from my student, from my friend. So then my friend would tell me, so Masha, I heard a story about your family visit to the cinema. I noticed that you used it 3 times and there 4 times. I wondered, when are you going to invite me to the cinema? Why have you chosen this movie? Where is the best popcorn in your city, or something like that? And students will have kind of a conversation based on their stories, and it will add meaning. We can also give them some maybe marks, like you can, if you hear it, like one time, ask your friend to add or work together and think where you can add more it. If you hear it, 7 times, are they all necessary? Should we maybe use something else? And students will focus and then they will be more attentive when they write its next time. Another strategy that was mentioned is reflect. Move from. It helps students to move from I have done it and I've forgotten to I wonder what was there. Usually students finish the task, they are not interested. It's us teachers who are interested that, oh, it's a great activity. It really helps my students to practice and then we can analyze. But for students, it's just an activity. I just need to write something to get the good mark, for example. And look, the author says, these activities give students time to check and consider their answers together so they can reflect on the process they went through and look at how they can improve. This helps develop self-regulation, autonomous learning in young learners. It's like the first step, building ability to self-assess. It's not an easy task. Remember, in the first grade, it's just I can write 5 words, it's enough, or I can name these pictures. When students are in the 5th and the 6th grade, they're becoming more adult. They are able to analyze. They are starting to be able, I would say. And we can help them by using such an activities. They are not very difficult, and you can use them with any book that you use. For example, here is a listening activity. And the activity is to listen and to tick the correct box. Let's listen to the first question.
Track 41, Review 6, Units 11 and 12. Exercise 1. Listen to Rosa and her dad. Tick the correct box. 1.
Rosa, can you make a card for Uncle Billy, please? He just moved into his new house.
Okay, but I don't know what to draw.
Well, he's a sailor, and he loves the sea and sailing. So, how about a picture of a ship?
Ships are quite hard to draw. I think I'll draw a picture of a compass with north, south, east, and west on it.
That's a good idea. He'll love that.
2.
So, the correct answer is compass, 1A. Thank you very much. Thank you. For us, it was easy, but students, they heard and sailor and ship and compass, right? They can be confused. So after they did this activity, we can hand out audio scripts and ask students to find and underline the answer, the words that help them to answer correctly. So when they not just hear it, but also can read it, we can help them to reflect. And they will understand better how these sentences work. We can say, so find maybe words for each picture. Yes, they can see that and sailor is here, and the ship is here, and the compass is here, right? But then we can ask them, and now, which of them is the correct answer? Find the sentence that proves it. I usually tell my students, like, let's play detectives. Now you need to find an evidence. First of all, they will reflect. Oh, you see, I chose boat, but it's difficult to draw. Right? If the person is the one who does it like very quickly without thinking. So next time I will think about that. And you can do it with all those 4 questions. So students will understand, will analyze, will reflect on their task. It's not all. Also, it can be done with writing. For example, the book gives us some writing skills, like to check our work. And I know that not all students do that. We ask them, they say, yes, I checked, and then you again see lots of basic errors. So the book gives us some ideas to focus. Like you need to check for spelling, for example, double letters, correct tense, punctuation, capital letters, full stop. Of course, it should be done appropriately to their level of knowledge. If they don't know all the tenses, so we can say just like if it is present simple or present continuous, or if you use ing form correctly, right? And then the book gives us the idea. Find and correct 5 mistakes in the text. I like this activity because it has a very specific task, not just find all mistakes that you can. For kids, it can't work. They can get stuck with it. But when they know that they need to find 5 mistakes, it will make things easier. I can count to 5, so I can find 5 mistakes. It really works, not only with kids. So you can see that, for example, Mondays from them should be written from the capital letter. and so on and so forth. He said, Umar and Kalish were very happy, full stop, this definitely should be here. It's not an easy task. I would even ask students to do it in pairs at first. And then from time to time, of course, we need to come back to it. Some extra ideas. This is a nice song that can help students to practice writing in capital letters. You can hand out the lyrics of this song. The name of the song is written. Just 1 second, I'm going to, sorry, I want to turn on this song for us to listen. While students listen to the song, they can correct, write capital letters when it is appropriate.
I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's grey and Wednesday too. Thursday, I don't care about you, it's Friday, I'm in love. Monday, you can fall apart. Tuesday, Wednesday, break my heart. Oh, Thursday doesn't even start, it's Friday, I'm in love. Saturday, wait. Sunday always comes too late. Friday never hesitate. I don't care if Monday's black. Tuesday,
So it's really nice, funny, nothing special, so you can listen it with 10 years old. And you can do that. Also, you can take away all apostrophes. And students can, while listening to the song, they can add as many apostrophes as they can. Oh, it's really a great idea. So that was about the strategies that can help students build students' confidence. Now I would like you to recall what you know. The first, so you have 3 questions. The first question is, what strategies were mentioned? I showed you the list of the strategies. Some of them weren't there. So try to tick all that you remember. Next one is which strategies you would like to know more about. And which strategies would you, 3 strategies would you implement with your students? Help my friend, personalize, reflect, be consistent, second chance. Yes, you're right. Wonderful. Collaborate. Yes, that just explain me. I didn't. It was like help my friend also. It can, I didn't mention that. So not all strategies were mentioned. They all look like be consistent and explain me. They look like a good strategy to build confidence, right? But they weren't on the list. Help my friend and reflect, that was I was focused on. Very good, thank you. I'd like to know about strategy collaborate. Yeah. Yes, actually collaborating is the strategies when we ask students to work together, to come up with one maybe common task, to prepare a game maybe, or to help each other. Or one student should do writing task, another should do reading task. And there are lots of suggestions how to ask students to work in pairs, even in the previous task. Reflect. So I can see that collaboration is still one of the strategy in demand, because 25% of you are saying that you need to do it and own it. Also, I told you a little about it. When you own it, it means to do something like the task, like the text task in the textbook, the grammar task, the quiz, multiple choice, maybe test for reading or something like that. Collaboration also, you can ask students to make a video explaining some grammar rule. And you can nominate roles, like one of you will be a video editor, second will be a script writer, and the third person will be the actor. So they need to work together to give you a product. It's like a project. And collaborate is also what you will write. When you are working with somebody, you are not just a person, you feel more confident. It really helps. So each time, before it is a minimum, before checking the questions, the answers, ask students to work together and check each other. Before writing maybe a dictation, ask students to dictate words to each other. When you give homework, ask students to do it in pairs. Don't forget about giving roles, and it will really help students to be more confident. So the third thing was about formative assessment and feedback. They need support. They need our help in order to make to understand where they are. So I'm very sorry. I see that it's already 5 o'clock. I will try to keep up to be faster, but I really have some more information. So if you have time, please stay with me. I will share about formative assessment. If you don't have time, unfortunately, the video recording will be on the YouTube channel, so you will get it on the email. And also, if you are interested in the certificates will be sent in 24 hours in the follow-up email. So you just need to wait for 24 hours, please. So feedback. It's not easy to take, but it makes success a piece of cake. Very good thing. We can teach it our students. It's really not very easy, but young learners are very open to it. If it is, of course, not negative, we try to give positive also. And also, feedback must be objective, must be evidence-based and regular. So if we just say at the end of the year or at the end of the term something to students, it's good, it's better than nothing, but it can't help them get the whole picture. If we do it once a month, it's much better. Evidence-based, so it's not just general words. We can show students works, we can show them the tests, we can show comparison, like, look, this is how you write in September, how you wrote in September, and now it's March, look at your work now, it's much better. And objective. When it is objective, there should be some things that help students to understand, some rubrics, right? In the program, in Ukrainian school program, in Cambridge English assessment, in CEFR, we have different descriptions what students can do when they have such level. And it can be also a good idea for us to share these can statements with students and with their parents. Like here we can see that, for example, for listening and speaking, students can understand instructions, understand simple spoken descriptions, ask basic questions, talk briefly about activities, right? And what the book suggests, it suggests a very good scheme of a formative assessment, and it explains what teachers should do. Let's look at the example. For example, reading. One of the can-do statement is can find specific predictable information in everyday material. What do we do? For example, students read the text. After they have read the text, we give them, we have timer, and we ask students to find answers to the questions. Or students can turn on their mobile phones and put the time and look how fast they can do that. They can write it in their books, or you can have a list of students and write down, first of all, the time, secondly, the number of correct answers. For example, 120 seconds, 3 out of 5, yeah, or something like that. Then you analyze it. And if it is a formative assessment, so it helps us to see the progress. So we do it, for example, after the first unit, maybe somewhere in September, at the end of September, in October. After that, we start helping students, we start working on this. Every week, ask students to find 1 or 2 pieces of information from short text from your textbook. The fastest student is the winner. So we can do it once a week. So now, please, here is the text. Find, please, the name of the girl who stole the key, or something like that. What did Lisa do? You have your timer again, and you do it. Of course, only one winner is not a very good idea. Other students can feel less motivated if there is always one very fast student. So we can ask them to write down their own time. They can say ready, and you say 45 seconds, 1 minute, 3 seconds, 20 seconds, 25 seconds, and so on. And they can keep track of it. Then after, in 2-3 months, you repeat activity with another text. You again ask students to prepare the timer, give them the text, give them the questions, and they do that and they count. And for you, it's a good presentation of their progress or absence of the progress, and also something that we should think about. So you can then tell a student, look, in September you did it like that, in November you did it like that. You can use it to show parents, like you said that we do nothing on our lessons. Look, here is one what students need to do at A2 level. They can find some basic information in everyday text. Look at your Serежа, for example. This is his result in September. This is his result in December. And it's the evidence. You have like time, you have number of correct answers, you have period. So it's really informative. Can talk briefly about things they can done. The same we can do with speaking. For example, you make 10 questions, students stand up, you ask the students if the response is correct, they sit down and continue until the whole class is sitting down. It's a good warm-up activity, why not? What is or how many books have you read? I have read 3 books is the correct answer. 3 books. You better to stay, right? Don't sit down, and so on and so forth. Not all students will answer you correctly, but how to make them do it? Not just say every time, please give me the full answer, or present perfect, or I have, so, right? We can like do it repeatedly. So we write down maybe the number of correct answers or attempts when they answered correctly. Then we do it like a speed game, but we do it fastly. Like I ask, like, Anya, how many pizzas have you eaten today? You count to 5. If she doesn't answer, you move on. So you do it quickly, but you need to warn students that it should be like that. And you do it faster, week by week, week by week. After that, in some time, you repeat assessment activity 1, maybe another questions, but also that present perfect, past simple, and you note progression in speed and accuracy. Like there was 3 attempts, and here she has only 1 attempt when she answered correctly. Again, you note it down, and you showed students, and you have their progress. You know what to focus on. So the book has really great ideas what to do, how to assess different skills: reading, listening, speaking, writing, and general linguistic. It has this description, assessment activity 1, remedial activity, and assessment activity 2. And even you can copy and keep such a journal for each student. This will be a good evidence-based feedback. So it's a good formative assessment tool for you. When you come up with, when you study this, when you are good at it, you can create your own activities like that. But you have the same, you have the framework, you know how to do it. And you know what to focus on, because sometimes it seems like impossible to focus on everything. And how to assess productive skills very, very quickly. So when we assess speaking, we focus on 3 main things. It's vocabulary and grammar, pronunciation, and interaction. Writing is a bit more difficult. There are different types of writing, but if it is a story, like students write in flyers test, they need to write to check if the story describes the progression of events, how far the story is based on the pictures, and whether their response is comprehensible. So you see, there are very clear things what we need to focus on. And in speaking, we also evaluate not just how correct they are, but also if they can interact with each other. And the book suggests that every time when we practice speaking activities with the students, we focus on only one strand. Like today, I want to check vocabulary, if they can use synonyms, or grammar, if they can ask questions correctly. Next time, I want to check interactions, if they can ask for help. And doing it step by step, like maybe once in 2 weeks, once in a month, you focus on different things, you understand what you need to develop, and you continue, and then it's final test, and your students show what they learned. For example, one of typical activities, find the differences. For flyers, it's students don't see the partner's pictures, they can only hear it. It's a great explanations what they need to do, and also assessment performance. So you can see what means in terms of pronunciation, what means excellent performance, what means satisfactory performance. And when you listen to students, you focus only on their pronunciation. It's like preparational tasks. Next time, you can focus on grammar. Use some simple structures correctly. Makes a few mistakes, but meaning is clear. Use some simple structures, make some basic mistakes. Satisfactory performance. So next time you practice on it, then you can develop it with your students. The same is like questions for discuss, personal questions. Interaction. Response appropriately, needs very little support, generally responds promptly. So what I like here, it gives us a very clear vision, what we need to do, how we need to assess our students' speaking skills or writing skills. It helps to turn something that we can't touch. Actually, it's very difficult to evaluate speaking, right? I don't have evidence, I don't have like ticks, right? But here are very clear rubrics, very clear explanations what we need to focus on. So we not over-focus on one thing and forget about another thing. So we gradually develop all those strengths. And here, for those of you who are still with me, thank you very much, by the way. I also prepare my speaking bingo, and I will send all participants this bingo after the webinar together with your certificate. This is an idea. I created it, just inspired by Luke explanations for teachers and for feedback and for self-assessment. So you can hand out such a bingo grid to each student, and their task is to cross. You can decide, for example, one line in 2 months or in a month. In a month, I think, or all 9 squares in throughout the term. So once they do it and they do it correctly, they can cross it. And then maybe winners can get some bonus from the teacher. And you can adapt also your lessons to this. And it really helps, will help students to be focused, to see their progress, like, oh, it's already November, I don't have any of this. Okay, maybe I need to do that. So next lesson, I will tell about my best friend. Why not? I corrected 10 mistakes. You can ask students to, like my own mistakes. You can ask students to put maybe a tick each time they did it. Like, for example, I'm saying about something, I'm telling about something, I say, so my dad works in an office. Oh, no, works in an office. I corrected my mistake, tick. And like this. Or you can remind them, put a tick, yes, how many ticks you have. So they can stick it to their books, maybe, book covers, and then do that. It's something that can help students to be more self-aware of what they do. The same about assessing writing. The book suggests us clear model answers, so you can see which answer is a good, which answer is a bad answer. Like here, they need to make a story, write 2 sentences for each picture to make a story. Lots of explanation in the book, how to do it, how to provide it. You see this: predict, own it, help my friend. All strategies are on this page. So everything is already done for you. And sample answers. You can see excellent performance that has some connectors, and satisfactory performance that has quite a nice grammar but doesn't have any connectors. And it's important to teach students from the young age to use this and, but, at first, then, the next morning. Step by step you do it, and then from time to time you can ask them to write stories in order to see if they can do that. You can show these sample answers to students and ask them which is good, which is bad, why, what do you think? They can do it in pairs and give their own opinion. It can be different from your, but they will try, they will analyze it. Then you will, of course, tell them. So to sum up, today we discussed assessment in Luke's series. We focused on exam practice, how they prepare for Cambridge assessment, how to build young learners' confidence, and how the book helps teachers do that, not forget about that. We discussed some ideas for formative assessment, how to make it continuous, how to keep track of it, what ideas you can do. And briefly, we discussed assessing productive skills. That productive skills need some clear and objective rubrics, so we know what to assess. It's not only grammar, but also being able to interact. The webinar, all examples were taken, except for my own, were taken from Luke series, which is one of the greatest series for young learners. It teaches them English in a communicative way and helps to build their confidence. You can see some pages from this book. If you haven't yet, and you are choosing now the book for primary students, contact our representatives in Lingvist company and ask about this book. It has great opportunities for both online and offline learning. So there is a choice for you depending on how you are going to teach. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. I'm very sorry for delay. just because so much information I would like to share with you. I will just quickly look through the chat. If you have any questions, please ask me. Thank you for all your great words. So one more time, for those of you who are still with me, we are going, the certificates and the bingo grid will be sent to you through in 24 hours. So you just need to be patient, wait for it. If you want to know more about series, contact me. I will share my contact details right now. Or you can contact your manager in Lingvist company and ask about Look series. You can look through the books, decide if it is good for your students. The teachers say that it's a great book to work with. Thank you very much. I wish you all have a nice, calm evening. Somebody has a question about the webinar. 1 minute, I'm trying to find it. Thank you. So many thank you words from you. That's really inspiring and helpful for me, because like I'm always preparing, I'm trying to make something meaningful and something new. About the age, I didn't manage to send my email to get a certificate. All right, Allah. The 8th of July wasn't a webinar of mine. It was my colleague's webinar. So please contact Lingvist administrators. They will resend your email. You can go to the site lingvist.ua. There are contact details. You can find the email like info@lingvist.ua. And you can ask this question, because unfortunately that wasn't my webinar, so I can't help you with that. All right, dear colleagues, I think I will close the webinar now. And I wish you all, again, have a nice evening, have a calm evening, to find strength to live forward and to enjoy very little moments of our today's life, and believe that very soon everything will be better, and we will finally be able to teach our students without any worries about any things that is happening right now. So see you, I think now, see you next month. Stay safe and continue doing what you do. You're doing a great job teaching children.